Well, as the UN discusses the new report detailing the sexual violence used against Israeli women, many are wondering why it took over 150 days to acknowledge that in the first place. Indeed, the UN certainly has a spotty record when it comes to Israel, and perhaps no one knows that better than the current ambassador to Germany and the former ambassador to the UN himself. Please welcome Ron Prosor. Ron, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, we saw yesterday Foreign Minister Katz call on the UN to take decisive action against Hamas in the Security Council. What's the likelihood we'll see any action in the UN to investigate or uniformly condemn Hamas?
So let's start with something which is absolutely mind-boggling. The fact that Hamas is not seen and not designated as a terrorist organization by the United Nations. I mean, what do you have to do? I mean, commit massacre in broad daylight, burn people alive, and kidnap children and women, for you still not to be designated as a terrorist organization? This is absolutely unheard of. And I hope that now that it is in the Security Council, the UN would move and do something positive in this direction. Although I have to tell you, I'm very, very skeptical. And I myself, with all my experience, am really shocked that UN Women and other UN organizations treat the nation state of the Jewish people this way.
Now, the UN did release this report on the use of rape as a method of war, confirming what Israelis have been reporting from October 7th. Why did it take 150 days? And what do you expect the UN to actually do about it beyond the report? I know you mentioned very little in the first question. What can they do?
Well, first and foremost, it shouldn't take 150 days. They should be there spot on. And because at the end of the day, this is exactly what they're paid to do, what the United Nations should be doing. And what do I expect? I expect the UN to really go down and look and find out the truth. Everything that, we experience and we've shown evidence, and this has to be in the public domain. The UN, under Guterres, and I've seen, some secretary generals during my time, is really eroding the position of the UN. If you look at it, is the UN relevant in different conflict zones? Is it relevant in doing something on Iran nuclear weapons program? The answer is no. Is it relevant in doing anything in North Korea? Absolutely no. Is it relevant in anything that has to do with Russia, Ukraine? The answer is no. And why is it? Because they are on merit not able to do stuff which is not politically completely biased. There's a structural and institutional bias against the state of Israel that, unfortunately, after the massacre of 7th of October, really comes out in a way that I who know really the details of how this organization, works, the hydraulic and the mechanics, I am shocked.
Now, the UN Special Rapporteur Francesca Albanese, along with several UN employees, have tried to distract from these attacks on October 7th by throwing a lot of baseless claims at the IDF, even allegations of sexual violence by the IDF, while at the same time casting doubt on the reports of rape by Hamas. Now, what should the UN be doing with officials like this? You mentioned it's inherently biased. In a way, they enable dictatorships. What can they do to repair credibility?
So this is exactly this. This is demonizing and delegitimizing the state of Israel without evidence. We should go after them. We should really go personally after them, name and shame them, so everyone will know exactly their bias. We cannot leave it, as generalities. We should go after them. We should push to really make them show evidence of what they're saying, and if not, call for their resignation. They cannot really represent anything with claims like that.
Now, generally speaking, is there anything the UN can do to help combat Hamas and other terror organizations that are specifically funded by the Islamic Republic? In short, what aren't they doing that they should be doing?
Well, let's start with something we began the show with. They should designate Hamas as a terrorist organization. What the United States, the United Kingdom, Europe, Australia. Come on, do the first things first. I mean, it's obvious that Hamas should be designated as a terrorist organization, and then everything leads from that. Then we can show the connection between, UNRWA and what they're doing, and we can show how UNRWA schools and hospitals and mosques, what they've really done with this. And this, the minute you designate Hamas as a terrorist organization, you have the tools and a different toolbox to be able to act in an operational way. And there's no other way to describe it. The UN has to really go back to basics and do something which is not biased, so that this organization could claim some of the positive things that it did during its establishment after the Second World War.
Ambassador Ron Prosor, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you.